Hey guys, it's Al from Altruistic Channel, and I'm coming to you today with a little bit of a different type of post. I've been doing variations on what you might expect, but essentially what happened is that as of recently, those of you who've been following my story know that as part of the ascension path that I had, you typically would have to you learn how to master the physical, the emotional, the mental, the heart, and then the ego, right? And so, as part of the graduation, I got a sudden epiphany one day, or I should say, a message directly from the divine that was basically like, "You're graduating today." And what happened up until that, you can see it in the previous videos, but everything came crashing down around me. People who I thought would be loyal to me to the day I died betrayed me. I ended up the same day losing my apartment, and because it was Mardi Gras, I was living in a motel, trying to keep afloat and trying to keep my head above water. And because it was Mardi Gras, and that's a business, but they basically threw me out. And so I ended up homeless. And so I was like, okay, this is a fascinating fucking graduation. Thanks, Dad. Woohoo! And it was all in order to better assess what graduation is in a spiritual journey. Everyone always thinks that they'll know the answer to something, or that they'll understand the behind how it's going to manifest itself. But if you're trying to ascend, let me put it to you in a way that makes sense. And the reason I call it a graduation during ascension is this. I'm not saying I've ascended, because obviously, hello, I'm still here. Still hurts. But it's the graduation over mastering something. And the reason I say that is because when you graduate spiritually, you learn not to let things bother you to the point where you can't get up again. And if you've seen my story on this channel, you know that I've done nothing but survive over and over again. But I've decided to start thriving. So part of the graduation gift was for me to kind of show myself where I was at spiritually. And part of it was to just go ahead and follow the light. And the light was to completely destroy my life and level it all the way down. And now I'm kind of having to find my way. So, anyway, the moral of the story is that even though it may sound like it's the worst thing in the world, it's actually the best thing that's ever happened. Because when you look at like the tarot or whatnot, you always start as the fool. You always start at the very beginning with nothing. And lo and behold, when I left, the only thing that the divine told me was, besides congratulations on graduation, I was like, thanks, Dad. Thank you for the great graduation present. No home. Where am I going to go? And of course, all my friends had alienated me or left me behind. And everybody thinks I'm a big waste because everybody swears that I'm not trying and that I'm not putting out all the effort and that I haven't sent out 42 fucking resumes. And usually I'm hireable like that. And that's not boasting. That's like just literally I've always been blessed that way. I've never been seen, but yet I'm always acknowledged. Does that make sense? I've always come close, but never actually arrived. Stuff like that. And so the challenge this time was that I had nothing. And so it was a big leap of faith to just walk out there without losing myself, without letting the ego take over. And then I realized that the ego was fully gone in the sense that what's left of the ego is now only productive. It's not detrimental to our personality. What's left now is the wanting to win at life, the wanting to thrive, the wanting not to dominate or to be like a lower level frequency, but to be above it. And it happened naturally. And so I was like, oh, I guess maybe I did. And so then as it went, I ended up finally finding a homeless shelter. Because here in New Orleans, I think probably anywhere, you have to get shots for most places to get so that tuberculosis doesn't spread. But without any money, I just couldn't do it. And because it all kind of came crashing down, I wasn't prepared for it, obviously. I thought graduation would be like, ooh, I get a prom date. Me and my dad get to go back again. Yay! Something fun and festive, but it wasn't. It was actually like the test. And so I finally felt what like it must be to be a Scorpio, because Scorpio of the zodiac is the test. It's a continual test proving themselves to God. But for me, this was like a lifetime of basically, it's essentially a step up. So, but what you don't realize in ascension sometimes is that if you let everything that happens to you, I don't think I've ever seen light the way I'm looking at it right now. That is absolutely gorgeous. Anyway, moral of the story is I had to do lighting today, so don't mind me, but I'm completely being pulled into this light right now. So the moral of the story is, the moral of the story is that when you think that you're going to get a blessing, then understand that sometimes a blessing is not going to look like a blessing. A blessing in a spiritual terms is the actual sometimes the opposite. Because if you're trying to ascend something, if you're trying to ascend the madness, then you have to see beyond the veils of illusion, right? So if you get stuck in the illusion, then you can't ever assume to graduate because it's going to be the opposite of what you want. If you think about it, you're ascending the madness. But in order to process that, you must go through what? The madness. You must get above that layer. So I ended up on the street. I didn't know where I was going to go. I had no money. And I realized immediately that it was just a blessing, and that basically what's going to happen is that what's coming next is going to be the rebuilding of the life. And so, because the ego had been stripped and was very proactive, I decided to look around the city, and I decided to find a shelter. And I kept it pretty much to myself. I kept it very quiet. I didn't say anything to anybody. I just went about it in a very, very interesting way. I went back to like see my friends and stuff, and I didn't say anything. I was kind of checking on everybody, seeing how they were doing. I never made it about me until I got to the point where I had no choice, right? But I still didn't because I'd already learned who was going to be there and who wasn't going to be there. And so, but the interesting part is the story that follows. So the next thing I know, I end up finding out that in shelters here in New Orleans, you must have a tuberculosis shot. And since I had no money to do it, I didn't realize that they do it for free because I'd never been in this situation before. So anyway, but it was too late. By this point, Mardi Gras is on full gear, and so I'm on the streets. And so one thing leads to another, and I finally find this one shelter that's willing to give you like a 2 or 3 day leeway. And so from the get go, the guy was just a prick. Like as soon as I walked in, I must have triggered him because he was like, all newbies have to wait till 6 o'clock. And so I was like, okay, well, where do you want us to wait? He goes, I don't give a fuck where the hell you wait. Just like that. And he goes, I'm just kidding. And I just looked at him and I was like, horn of truth. And so literally I just looked at him and I was like, well, that's really hysterical. I'm glad that you're a comedian. And I just was like, where do you want me to wait? And I said it very politely, but that's basically the cadence I had. In a non-aggressive way, but I was just looking at him like, well, I'm glad you're funny. You know, keep your day job was kind of the impression I get. Anyway, so he literally he's like, I'm just kidding, and touched my back. And in New Orleans, that's the one thing you don't touch another human being because I'm gonna knock the fuck out of you. But again, I must be doing well because I didn't react that way. I just go, and I basically just very politely touched his hand to get off of me. You know what I mean? Like I just gently went, okay, well, where do you want me to wait? And I pushed it off of me very gently. He didn't notice. And so then he made me wait for 2.5 hours in this little room, which is basically on camera. And they're just staring at you, I guess, and I don't know what the whole deal is there. But I got in, and lo and behold, immediately I met two people. All I can say is that I know who they are, and I knew them immediately. And in total, there are. I'm not. This is why I'm not going to say what shelter it was because of what happens next. But there were 5 very important people all present in that one shelter. I kid you not. And those of you who are mystic or psychic, you know who they are. And we were all together. So I met them and I engaged them and we befriended each other. And then we spent 2 days getting to know each other. Like I know their traits, I know how they act. So a list began to form in my head. So of course a lot of you are going to be like, oh, that's magical thinking, blah, blah, blah. Oh, fantasy, fantasy. Like I said before though, rose-colored glasses are for people who dream and who plan on being successful. A person who can never be successful will always say that that's delusional because they can't see the sunrise. All they can see is the blindingness of light. They can't see the beauty of what's about to occur. I can see the beauty. You know, just like this light I'm looking into is fucking gorgeous. But the point is that when you see the scope of the universe and it opens up to you, you start to notice things. So what were the odds that I would literally be in a shelter that was putting me back right across the street from where I was born, fully closing this chapter out? And immediately I got a download, and it was a very interesting download. I can't share it. Mystics and psychics will know if they're allowed to know. And it's not like we're trying to keep anything. It's just that everybody's at different levels right now, and everybody has different ways of seeing the world at large. And so I'm not anybody special. I'm just me. And so I'm not going to tell people. I'm the type of like if I'm teaching or lecturing, I'm going to be the type of person who guides you to the water. But you're the horse. You still have to drink the water, so you do the rest of it. But I can only guide you. So just trust your gut, I think is what I'm trying to say right now. So, but let's just say the 5 of us have something very important in common, and 5 of us that you will meet at some point in your life in a very big way. Let's put it that way. And so the interesting part, I don't know exactly how it's going to play out for everybody because I'm not gifted with everything. I just saw a plan start to fold. And so it was very interesting that all 5 of them, well, lo and behold, last night, the word faggot was used about me. and they were very rude and very aggressive with me. And so I, without losing my temper, I just went upstairs. The horn keeps playing. And then I literally went upstairs, and all I did is grab my stuff. I said to the two guys that were the closest to me, that I became close to, one of which, who, by the way, I might end up married to. But anyway, it's like prison. I was his bitch. Anyway, so the moral story is that I told him what was going on. One was half asleep, the other one was like a little confused, but it was really cold and he didn't know where I was going. So I left. And I just grabbed my stuff and I left. And the two guys was walking and goes, "We figured you wouldn't make it." And I go, "Well, of course not. Why would I want to stay somewhere with two people who obviously hate their lives so much that they want to take it out on innocent people who are at the bottom of their lives? You guys must feel really good about yourselves. Look forward to my email." And then I just closed it, I grabbed my stuff and I left. Now notice it wasn't aggressive, it wasn't rude, it was just to the point, it was the sort of truth. And I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to send the email, because here's the thing, I'm not God. I'm not going to judge anybody else. And from what I understand, the fact that they engaged that is more telling to who they were. And so understand that if you cross paths with these people that are very special, that are odd in their situation, where there's no reason for them to be homeless and they were trying to get out of it, but something seems to just be like a dark cloud over them. Understand that a lot of it doesn't have anything to do with them. They're just the ones about to be rewarded. So be very careful how you interact with them, because that's your test. That's not my test. I've already graduated. So the way that you get triggered by me or one of these people, I'm just warning you right now. Check yourself, because I have nothing to do with what happens next. But I'm telling you, from what I understand, it's not going to be very fun. And so instead, I didn't do a power trip. I just immediately started thinking, and I was like, I got really upset, and I was like, but at myself, I'm just like, I don't, I can't stay somewhere where people are degrading and humiliating me. And there was like a veteran that was there that had had drinks before that, like the day before, and so I'd asked them to leave, but they were super polite about it. But then tonight, I mean, not tonight, last night, these two guys that were there for the weekend, these are weekend staff now, keep that in mind. And so they threw the VA guy out. They threw the veteran out and made the guy cry and could give a fuck about this guy. So understand that once I saw that, and this is what was playing in my head, once I saw that, I had already made a decision and I wasn't conscious of it yet. The one thing I don't tolerate is people who believe that they're superior to others when they're like, I'm not judging them, but let's say, if you are the head of security for the VA and you were being disrespectful to an actual veteran, but you've never been to war or ever been a veteran, then I have a fucking problem with you. And so instead of taking it out that way, what God basically did is he put my mind right. And he said, this is why you did that. In your own way, because I'm trying to understand all of this stuff. I'm a science guy. I don't always understand the spiritualness to it. I'm getting a clearer image day by day, but I understand where my brain was at. And so what then again turned like a huge negative, because now it's like 11 o'clock at night. I'm totally drowsy. I'd been walking for the last 24 hours. I was so exhausted. I was losing my friends. I was going out into the world by myself. And I suddenly remembered one of my dear friends who I work with. And I had run into her like 2 days before. Remember when I said I went to talk to my friends just to see how everybody was? It wasn't about me. It was just about talking to them. I randomly asked her if I could possibly stay on her couch. And believe it or not, she was the one person who said yeah. She checked with her boyfriend, who's another guy who I adore, but I didn't know that they were together. And then with her roommate, and they're letting me crash for a couple of days here. And again, like I said, it's God guiding me each path. So what again could have been disastrous with me like killing myself or getting all depressed or I can't take this shit anymore. Instead, I just felt the feeling of loss and then said, what am I supposed to have learned from this? And then I immediately they jumped into my head about the VA and what happened with the veteran guy. Not the VA, I refer to the VA as the veteran, right? So that's what it was. And so I was triggered by the VA, but notice the difference in frequency. Instead of going off, I didn't do anything other than I told the guy where to go. I gave him directions. I told him exactly the angle at which you get into, like, let's say, because he was a VA guy and he was perfectly healthy. I'm like, it was dropping to 30 degrees. He had no place to go. They had basically implied that he could come back in, and then they made him cry, and they laughed about it. That's how fucked up this place was. But I decided that because I had helped him, because I told him what to do and where to go, and it was something that came to me because of the divine. And so, because of that, I literally stayed just, and this is what the divine said, I just wanted you to see how it would play out for you. And he said, because you did the right thing and you helped this guy out, I'm going to let you find this path. And so then when it happened to me and I left, as I'm waiting for the bus, trying to figure out what I'm going to do because I had no money and I only had enough for like the bus, I kid you not, two other people from the same left. It was like almost midnight, freezing cold, Mardi Gras all over the place. Nobody had any place to go. And in total, four people ended up leaving all at once, right? So the blessing in that was that I remembered my friend, I'm just going to call her C, who is a wonderful woman and super strong, and she's with another friend of mine, and I didn't know that. So in running back into them and them letting me crash here, it may only be for 2 days, but you don't understand what that means. That means that the divine's right. He, she, it will never put you in a situation that if you don't listen, if you listen to it, there will always be an out, but you have to maintain your emotions. And so that's the lesson of this video, is that despite what you heard or despite what you see or despite what you feel, use the other senses and tap into that spiritual center, because it was like not even an issue. It went from one to the other in the matter of 10 minutes. And it was just because I was in tune with what I was going through. And the reason I'm saying this all is because I'm going to be putting out little videos while I stay here, because it's just a couple days. I don't want to like overstay my welcome. I have no idea what I'm going to do. But because God's guiding me, I discovered who one of them was spiritually. And it's a very fascinating thing because everyone in your life starts to connect. And if you're on your path, you're going to start to see these patterns like become stronger. And one has a musical gift that I'm very interested in finding out more. The other one has a very, very specific soul signature that she has. And there's all these beautiful beings that I've kind of known or not known. But now I see the light and I see their light. And it's a very fascinating thing. So whenever you're stuck in a situation where you can't get out of it, you don't think you can get out of it, you're going to kill yourself. You're so depressed. Life is, stop for a moment and see if there's something that you hear, even if you're not spiritual. Because in the end, everything in life is spiritual, because we're not just bodies, we're all spirits. And so, what is this facade? What is this illusion about? There's something looking out from our eyes forward, right? So you can feel it, you can see it, you can sense it, no matter how crazy you are, or anybody who's ever been hungover knows it best. When you wake up the next morning and your body feels like shit, but you're going, let's go, time to go, and you're just like, first let me vomit, and then you're okay. That's not a body. Your body's still not feeling well. You overdrank, but your spirit's like, okay, let's go, let's go, let's go. And so it's that kind of cadence. So I just wanted to put that out there, because in the end, what happened is that I got a safe place to stay for the next couple days. And look how beautiful my fucking skin looks. All that stress and being out in the sun, walking all over creation with these two guys, well, technically four altogether, so five of us. And we got to go to a parade. Because I was like, if we're going to be homeless, let's fucking do this up. Because when you're homeless, I don't know if you all know this, but when you're homeless, not only do you have to do a TB shot and all this other stuff, but it's super dangerous. The week before we got there, someone was killed, like I think in the same bed I was in. And so I was like, great. And I posted on to my friend, to the girl's house that I'm staying at. I'm like, that would be my luck. I was born across the street, and then some fucker shanks me, and I end up dying, and all they got to do is cross across the street. I'm like, God, don't do that. And I swear to you, that was out of humor, because I thought that would be some funny shit. Find the humor in the horror, otherwise it's just horrific. But if you can find the humor in horror, then you change some of the consonants and it becomes humor. Change your mindset, guys. It's really important. So the next part of this is, so I'm sitting in, I finally get to her place, and it's a beautiful room, and I love everybody here. I don't know them all, but you know, like when you meet people with spiritual centers that are just wonderful people, and all of them are going through their own things and they're trying to balance stuff out, and I can feel the energy. But because I trust them, I'm not trying to read their energy. It just is what it is. But they're beautiful beings. So in total, I can attest for a fact that I've met, and since this has all began, I've met at least 8 people that you all at some point are going to know. One of them for sure in music, I think it is or art. It's a creative venture that he is working on. And then she's got an interesting soul that I haven't figured out because it's not my place. But all of these beings are all coming together in my life because I can see them. So if you ever want to actually grow spirits when you want to ascend, understand that in order to ascend, you must rise above the madness, which means you have to go through it. And if you keep giving up because it gets too hard, then however are you going to see the light of the beauty that's above it? So these chosen ones that you're about to meet, I've started meeting them. And it's very clear to me that I know very specifically a couple of them that are very important for the world. And so as this is all playing out, understand that what you're watching is not what you think it is. And that's the best I can give you. Sometimes in life, all I can do is be the messenger. But understand what you're seeing is something truly blessed by God. And see it that way. Because then you're going to start to see who these people are. Because I've started to mention to them the idea of talking about their stories. But it's not time yet. And that's all I'm going to give you on the hint on this. So see who you're seeing and who you're talking to. Because I know who I am. And then look at people throughout your life and see who they are. Because if you can't do that, you're going to miss a lot. And there's so much beauty coming to this world. The vibration's going to lift. We're lifting up the entire population. And the people that I've met so far, you won't believe who they are until you can get above where you're at. So do me a favor, no matter how bad things are, ask yourself this. Do you suddenly feel a sudden surge of energy coming at you, but no place to put it, and you feel lost, and you feel like you keep being pushed down, but each day you get up and you make goodbye and you keep doing your best? Then maybe you're one of them. Maybe you're one of these people that is meant to change the world. But in order to do that, understand that you have to do this past one last push. This is the big one. This is a huge test. This is the biggest part of initiation, which is, can you in the moment of despair turn that into desire? Can you in the moment of horror turn it into humor? Can you do the things that are being tasked of you because you've been saying you've been ascending this whole time? Well, then how are you ascending if you can't make it through the last push? And those of you who are chosen, I'm going to give you a hint. If you're the chosen ones, if you are God's people, then it's going to fucking suck. Why? Because you're used to it. You're the graduate. You're the graduating class. You're the top. You're the valedictorians of ascension, if you will. I mean, we never stop ascending. We're not stupid. We always keep growing. But we're getting Eden, and we're creating Eden. But in order to create Eden, you must see what? Absolute destruction. So if it happens to you and you find yourself not reacting, you're not heartless. It's on purpose. If you find yourself not engaging in arguments with people who used to piss you off and you just kind of look at them and you're just like, I never noticed how sad you were before. And you don't mean it in you know what, you see what I'm saying? Like, it just changes the way you look at things. And one day you're going to be staring at a camera, sharing your story, I hope, with me at some point. And you're going to look into the light and you're going to see something that I'm looking at right now that is so fucking gorgeous. And the layers to it is so amazing that I can't wait for you all to see it. But in order to do it, you have to be able to look into the light from the dark. Otherwise, you can't see it. It's just too bright. Understand where you're at, understand the blessing, and rise above it. Okay? That's it for me on this one. I'm going to do a bunch of little ones and I'm going to schedule them because, like I said, I don't know what happens next. I'm just on this journey with the divine and with my friends who are my soul family. I can tell you already, even if I can't stay here more than a day or two with the people that I'm with right now, these are soul families. Like, I can tell both of the three of them are just people that I care about. And it doesn't mean that we're going to be like on always together. I mean, hopefully I get my own place soon and get my own life. But they're souls that are part of my troop. And so find your soul tribe by first making sure that you are registering who you are. Because who you are, from what I understand, is truly fucking amazing. And I hope to interview you at some point or talk to you. And so you can share your story and how you rose above it. Remember, you cannot be the chosen if you've never persevered, because then what are you rising in? You're not dough. You're not a piece of cake. You're not trying to make it hot. You're just trying to rise up out of something. Here's another hint for the chosen. You have never been able to get out of poverty, or you've never been able to, if you were abundant with a lot of money, you've never had love. It's something massively important to all life that you're missing, that you're about to get. If you can just see the world for what it is in all its beauty. You know how they say you can't look at the sun because it'll hurt your eyes? Okay. I've looked at the sun, and guess what? What I see is beautiful colors. Now, having said that, is it the healthiest thing for your eyes? Probably not. But neither is fucking, eating, smoking, anything that's fun in life doesn't seem to be very good for your body. So pick your battles out carefully, right? That's it for me on Alan Altruistic Channel. I'm going to post this tonight, and I'm going to try to catch you guys up because there's so much downloads coming to me, I can't even tell you. But a little bit of it, there's one thing in particular I have to research before bring it up. But I will say this. I'm going to be looking, there's going to be the chosen that are going to rise, and there's going to be some people that I'm specifically looking for. And for some reason, I get the impression that I'm the only one who knows who they are, which is pretty fascinating because I'm not anybody special. I'm just me. I'm just Al. If anything, consider me like my biggest dream, honestly, was to be the Hierophant. To be something caught between, not caught, but something that stands between political and religious, because both really need a makeover. But the Hierophant always attracted me because it's in God's office. Whatever you believe, God, Allah, Spirit, Gaia, whatever. Whatever you believe that to be, you have to get there by first doing what? You have to access Christ consciousness. And you can't do that if you don't join the people and learn what you need to learn from the process. So this whole little adventure through the homeless thing, I think is about over. I'm knocking on wood when I say that. Because I got the map bit of it. See, it's not that I'm over like ego-ish. It's that I got the map for the next level. So the next level, from those of you who are chosen that I'm going to be running into, or however it's meant to be, because I don't try to control this. Trust me, don't try to control this, because the divine, he's all about, or she's all about, or it's all about making sure that you let go. But I will say this. Some of what you're going to see, all of this that you're about to see is going to play out publicly in different ways. That much I can assure you. I've seen parts of that. That's different. But there's some of you within that group that I'm looking for as part of my map. And when we make contact, because you're in the same pool of people that I'm looking at, that he's choosing, because I'm just going by the signatures that are around me. But of that, I am looking for a specific group of people. And one day, I guarantee you all that you're going to want to know who they are. And it's up to you to find out who they are by watching their stories as they develop. This is just the beginning, guys, and I can assure you of that. There's so much to come. I would like, share, and subscribe to this, because at this point I've gotten to a point with the map that I'm pretty sure that many of you who are spiritual, ascending, or enlightened are going to want to start paying attention to, not me necessarily, but who crosses the path and who I run into, because this is definitely bigger than me. And that's it for me on Alan Altruistic Channels. I can't wait to talk to you guys. I'm going to post another video and another one, and we'll keep going until, because like the reason I kept saying I don't know what's going to happen is not because I'm worried about it. It's because I don't know if I'm going to have the internet. Like right now, remember all of this, I'm doing this on my laptop. I've said it before. Ideally, the right person, the right aligned person to God is going to see the value in what I'm doing and help me flip the bill a little bit for it so that we can get this going, because I know how many are in New Orleans, but that doesn't mean there aren't variations to all things. Remember, there are multiple truths can be true at once. So, whoever finds the value in this, let me know. The email is in the link below. And I don't do that for like trying to get money or anything. It's because I want everyone to see what's about to happen from what I've been shown, because it's not in my control. I'm already part of this. I don't know to what extent, and I'm humble about it. But the people that you're about to meet through this experience, you're going to want to know. And then of that group, there's a specific, even more detailed group that you're going to definitely want to know. So that's it for me on Alan Altruistic Channel. Looking forward to working with one of you, partnering with or a couple of you. Whoever it is, I'm not even worried about it, because at this point I'm just on the journey. I'm not trying to control it. I'm just trying to present all of the hints that I need to trigger the right people in the right places, because some of you are just finding out who you are. And when you find out who you are, you're going to start reaching out to me to make this a little bit easier because it's going to blow your mind. Having said that, there are things that I am aware of, and it's because of the divine. I'm not the only person with this, I don't think, but I'm just the one that gets to put it out there for some reason. I think it's because of the canvas I painted. But I've made a very, very, very interesting canvas, and the canvas that I created, it was very imaginative. So I know I can't be the only one probably that knows who they are, but I might be one of the few people that actually gets to bring them to light to some degree. But anyway, don't forget, guys, it all starts by working the ascension path, finding out who you are as a person, as a being, as a personality, and then when you rise above, you find out who you truly are. Remember, it's all an illusion. Why would anybody create such a lavish illusion? Because we've never been closer to success in the entire existence of humanity. And I'm going to guarantee that as you start watching this more and more, and if I get this going with the divine, because he's trying, but everything's happening at the right time. I'm in love with this life. Okay. Sorry, I'm so distracted by what I'm looking at right now. I can't even tell you. And I know you're going to think I'm making this shit up, but it is. I can't believe it. Okay, anyway. Find your light. Join the light. And when you do, you will see how close we are to Eden. That's it for me on Alan Altruistic Channel. Check it out. I'll check you with you guys later. Bye.